Welcome back to the Fight Rundown Christmas calendar episode 4. We've got the fairy tale of New York on. The first thing I have to ask is excitement levels for Christmas out of 10.
It's high. It's got to be high. For me, day 4, we've got a special guest, of course, which we'll get to, but I'm loving the Christmas. I'm loving the Christmas spirit. What about yourself, Will? You a Christmas guy?
Yeah, I'm a Christmas guy. The tree's up. The main tree is up right now. The kitchen tree is ready to go up. Yeah, decorations are ongoing.
I love that.
What about you, Bowles?
Nothing's up. Excitement levels, I'm at an 8 though. I'm excited. And of course, I'm even more excited today because we've got not just a British sumo legend.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just trying to get that off. British sumo legend, martial arts legend over here, and my brother, Mr. Will Bowles, actual biological
brother, yeah.
With hair.
Yeah.
Good head of hair as well.
It's all right. It is all right.
So today, we are mainly just going to have a chat. There's not really a full script for this.
So
Chat
Christmas
about all
shindig
sorts of
right
different
here.
stuff.
Christmas
Yeah,
shindig.
exactly. What I want to start off with though is the British Sumo Championships coming up very soon. If you want to just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it'll be on the 11th of January, and it is the British Sumo Championships. So it will be the decider for any sumo wrestler who wants to go to the European Championships or the World Championships. That would be your chance to get on that team. And this year as well, it's extra special because we've got some delegates from the International Sumo Federation, including an ex-Ozeki. So an Ozeki is the second highest possible rank you can achieve in pro sumo. So an ex-Ozeki from Estonia is coming to observe, so that'll be pretty good. It's basically, that's like Michael Owen coming to watch your Sunday League football match. If you can
Current Michael Owen.
Great analogy.
Yeah, current Michael Owen.
Michael Owen.
Yeah.
It's strange, weird guy.
Yeah, I don't like Michael Owen.
Joking.
I hate Michael Owen. So of course that's happening January. Is it what?
Yeah.
January
11th in Doncaster.
11th in
All the
Doncaster.
details for that will be on the British Sumo Union's Instagram and Facebook accounts.
What's that account? What's the...
It is literally just
Oh,
that.
British
Sumo Union, yeah.
That's it. We'll put that in there. Put that in the description for anyone.
Yeah. So anyone, if you've ever done rugby, any other wrestling, MMA, judo, BJJ, and you want to give it a go, we are running novice categories as well. So if you've never done it before, last year we had about 4 or 5 guys who'd never done sumo before, and they decided that the British Championships was the day that they were going to do sumo, and some of them did all right, to be fair. So yeah, don't let it put you off.
Yeah, so I guess we'll chat back a little bit in time. And how the hell did you even start this? How did it come about? Where did you find the club? No, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, well, basically, I've always been into martial arts since I was 8. I'm 29 now, so that was a long time ago. And with sumo, I'd sort of seen it here and there on like the internet and stuff, like when people would just share random clips, and I was sort of just out of curiosity had a little look on YouTube and Google and stuff for like local British sumo, and I found that there was one in Doncaster, which is only 40 odd minute away, run by a bloke called Adam Lloyd, who is basically an encyclopedia of wrestling. He knows every wrestler on every wrestling style. He knows every wrestling
Smart
style.
geezer.
Yeah. He could tell you the winner of like the toe wrestling championships on Bournemouth Beach 1882. Like he could tell you the gold medalist from that. So he's been running a club in Doncaster, and then a lot of my mates locally in Grimsby wanted to get into it as well. But we didn't want to be travelling up to Doncaster every weekend for it, so we just set up our own, just here in Grimsby. So it's more of a sparring club, ours. But yeah, that's how we got into it. And there's just there's tournaments every month of the year. There's a tournament in some European country, so that we are able to go to as well. But because the sport isn't super massive at the minute, it's actually quite an easy way into representing your country for a martial art because, say for the heavyweights, for example, I probably could only ring off maybe 6 or 7 pure heavyweights who compete at the minute in England and Scotland. So, you know, it wouldn't be too hard to get on the team if travelling the world and competing in martial arts is something you want to do. And yeah, sumo's a good option. Basically, if you like pushing people around, picking them up and slamming them onto the floor, then it's a great sport.
It's right up Jeeves Street.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I was going to say, obviously you've done an array of martial arts.
Yeah.
Tell me if I've missed one. You've got judo,
Yeah.
kickboxing,
Yeah.
taekwondo.
Yeah, I did a little bit like that at uni, yeah.
Boxing.
Yeah, done
And
boxing on
MMA.
and off. And MMA, yeah.
Well-
MMA with James Bateman. Shout out to Bateman MMA.
Go
He's
on,
the
go on,
hardest
boss.
guy I've ever seen. He's a tough guy. Yeah, I've not been there for about a year or so now because just because of work, just been so busy. But if I was ever to go back to MMA, that's where I'd be.
For sure. So where would you rank the sumo kind of intensity, power, balls? I remember when you were telling me about, I think you even said it on the pod, the physicality was so high. Where would you rank that if you had to put a number on it?
Right, so it is where it's odd because the bouts you win either by out of bounds in your opponent or forcing them to touch the ground via any sort of method. You can palm strike, you can do anything other than a closed fist strike, and you can't kick and you can't fight dirty. Otherwise, you can do anything. So any sort of wrestling style, but because it's not like you accumulate points like in boxing or kickboxing or whatever, you win. The first one to score wins, basically. So a lot of the bouts last only about 15, 20, 30 seconds, but that means that you can go 100% in at all times in the bout. So I'd say it's sort of like akin to being like thrown in like a tumble dryer and then like chucked out again. It's really, for that sort of 10, 15 seconds, it's 100% effort, and then like you got to wait a couple of minutes for your next bout. So I'd give it maybe a 7.9 on the intensity scale. Not as hard as I wouldn't say it's as intense as like MMA sparring or MMA at all, because you're not at risk of getting your head booted in. So that's probably what holds it back from that. But otherwise, it's very hard on the body.
So, of course, at the highest level, it might be a little bit different. But I will just ask you, how much of it is skill, and how much of it is size and strength and brute force? So,
in there's sort of two ways you can answer that. So, in pro sumo, usually the heavier you are or the bigger you are, the more advantage you are going to have, because the Japanese predominantly want to push. That's their sort of main sumo style, is pushing. So they'll clash together at the beginning, which is called the tachi, and then they'll just push each other until one of them is forced out.
Like just a palm here.
Yeah, palm strike. Yeah, you go with your palm strike, so you can grab onto their belt and sort of lift them, hoist them out, or whatever. But they will tend to want to force someone out.
So you're not going for a takedown, not a takedown, but you're not going to push them over. You'd rather push them out the circle.
Yeah, so a lot of guys will do that.
Is that plan A?
Yeah, that's sort of plan A for a lot of guys. However, my favourite pro at the minute is called Hoshoryu, and he is a Mongolian, and he loves throws. He tries his best. He's recently started doing a bit more pushing, but what he'll do is, if he fails with that initial push, he'll sort of let them come to him.
He search this guy up now.
Yeah, he'll try and they'll come back to him, and he'll just stick his leg in between their legs and flip him onto their asses. Yeah, put in Hoshoryu. It's H-O-S.
Him.
No, that is the goat though.
He's the goat.
That is the goat. That is Hakuho Sho.
The LeBron.
He is the LeBron, and he went over 1,000 bouts. I think without. Yeah, he's had over 1,000 bouts. He's like 6'5" in his prime. He's retired recently, but if you go on YouTube and put in a Hakuho compilation, he's knocked people out in sumo.
How do you spell it? Is this not your favourite?
It's not my favourite, but he's the goat.
Oh,
so Hoshoryu, you'd say uses more skill than
he's more.
force.
He uses a lot of judo throws, and But in amateur sumo, that's where you got weight classes. So obviously the heavyweights looks more like pro sumo, but as you go down to like the, say, under 100 kilos, under 85, under 77, you get a lot more sort of classical wrestlers who do like, their main style might be like Greco-Roman or something, and it looks more like a traditional wrestling match, but with the sumo palm strikes. So yeah, it sort of depends on what your style. If you're gifted, and as in for sumo, as in you're naturally large, like we've just got a new guy started in up in the Scotland team, and he's 6'8" and 200 kilos.
Jesus.
So he could learn throws, but there's not really much point when you're his size. You can just run at someone, grab them, and just force them out. It doesn't matter how strong you are. When there's 200 kilos coming at you, it's pretty tough. But when you get the lighter guys, it does look more like a traditional wrestling match. So yeah.
What?
So sorry, Jeeve, I was just gonna say quickly. With you, it seems like obviously I've watched you do this. I've watched you. By the way, international sumo now in the amateurs. Yourself.
Yeah.
Seems like you can do a little bit of both. You can throw and you can push. But what do you prefer to do? And how would you pick to win a bout?
It depends who I'm going against. So if I'm going against someone who's my size or slightly smaller, say in the open weights, if I'm up against someone who's my size, I'll go for the off the tachi, I'll just go for a palm sort of straight to the face, and I'll just try and push someone out by their head. That's my first go-to. If they manage to strip my hand off, then I'll go for the belt and try and get some sort of throw or whatever. If they're bigger than me, what I should do is probably be a bit more reserved, but I don't. I just still go in with my forehead and just try and... Because they'll want to come in with their full weight, so I just think, well, I'm going to do the same then. I just stick my forehead into it. And
Rhino mode.
Yeah, rhino mode. It doesn't always work against the really big guys, but I'd rather do that than to try and be all sneaky.
Yeah, for sure.
No honour. There's no honour in being sneaky.
No one likes a sneaky.
Yeah. No.
What I was going to ask, I'll have to ask Bowles first. While you take a little sip of the water.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bowles, before we get Will's take on it, where do you rank American wrestling, sumo wrestling, and sambo?
Ooh.
We'll get to Will and set Bowles. Well,
I tell you fair.
wait, do you go by Bowles as well?
I can do, but
In
just
the
call me
streets.
Will.
No,
Just
but
call me Will.
he's big
I'm the
big
original
Bowles.
Bowlesy.
That's what I was going to say. He is the original, but
Yeah.
Well,
Steve Bowles
technically, the old man's the original
Yeah,
Bowl.
he is.
But then you can go on forever with that, though. Can't you? You literally can go on forever.
Grandad Ray's the original.
But then his
Bowles.
dad, he's the original.
Yeah, we've got Bowles and Will. Yeah, Bowles, what are you saying?
That's a really tough one. I really like the sumo. I'm
Saying
probably
skill for skill, by the way.
yeah. I'm probably putting American wrestling at 3.
I agree. What you got at 3?
But are you on about like freestyle wrestling
Like
or
D1,
yeah?
Bo Nickel, Gable Stevenson.
For in skill level, I would actually put sumo at 3.
Yeah, it's
I'm saying who would win. Do you know if you have a 3-man tournament?
Right. Okay. So what I would say then is, if the goal is to not be taken down, you will not take a good sumo wrestler down. I don't care how good at freestyle or sambo you are.
Disagree.
The sumo, well, the whole point of sumo
My head pounding
is to not touch the ground at all. It's an instant loss. So there's a lot of focus on not getting taken down. Whereas sambo and freestyle wrestling or Greco-Roman or whatever, there's an emphasis on both getting the takedown and the pin and not being taken down, but it doesn't focus on being stable as much as sumo does. However, I will say it's a really easy style to learn compared to American wrestling. Like it would,
yeah.
I think that can be agreed on. And sambo especially, you've got especially if you're on about combat sambo, where you got the strikes as well as just the grappling aspect. So yeah,
I think I'm going
Go on.
sumo, American, and sambo.
Sambo
I'm a UFC
one.
Dick Rider. All right,
yeah,
just made that
that's
clear.
fine. Yeah, I would say I would agree.
I'm only saying that because if you put a lightweight sumo guy versus a lightweight either of the other two, surely they get in touch in the ground at least. I know, obviously, the principle of sumo, maybe because I've not even done it, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we've all had a little tussle with your brothers
A
and
little bit of a
whatnot.
pull and a push.
Yeah, we've all had and you know what? That is pretty much just more freestyle / sambo, isn't it? But you never actually do sumo wrestling. You can't just do sumo, can you? Unless you're a mad guy. Not in the living room is what I'm saying, Will.
No, because you.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be
That's
dangerous.
the only ones I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, there's a YouTuber at the minute. It's called Sensei Seth. He's just started doing sumo in the last year, and he's already, I believe, is the light heavyweight American champion. I can't remember his last name. What's his last name?
Sensei Seth.
Sensei Seth, yeah. That's the guy, yeah. And he's a karate man and Muay Thai man overall, but he's branched into wrestling recently. You know, and he does all kinds of wrestling now, but with sumo, he can apply it in self-defense, because that's sort of what he does. He did a video on the Ultimate Self-Defense Championships, which is like a mini YouTube series. But
That sounds pretty good.
in one of the challenges, he's been like rushed by someone, and he uses his sumo sort of base and pushing to send them onto their ass, and avoid the conflict with by being explosive and just getting on them and taking them to the ground. So you don't need to have the belt on to use sumo skills. You can say the same about judo. Like, what happens if they haven't got a jacket on? Well, you can still do a judo throw.
True.
It just means you don't grab the jacket, do you? So
Valid point.
yeah.
Is there any style of wrestling that you'd like to try that you haven't yet tried?
You're a man of every sport. What's
I
next?
recently did Shuaijiao, which is a Chinese jacket wrestling, and that was tough. But see, Jeeves got a video on now of a Mongolian wrestling. It's called Bok, with it like that. Which is really, really unique. I'd love to give that a go, but I actually don't think there's anywhere in the UK that probably does it. And if I'm wrong, please let me know, because I'll be there next Saturday.
Yeah, you would.
What it was like for yourself? What was it like? Because let's be honest, you had to make a big commitment when you said you wanted to take this properly, and I feel like you're trying to pioneer it around the local area, grow it in North East Lincolnshire. What's that journey been like? Because of course it's all good talking about the sport and doing it, but let's be honest, you're pushing it in a bigger aspect. You know what I mean? You're trying to launch this.
That's the thing
in England.
So shout
out to this guy.
Well, for decades, British sumo has been run by the British Sumo Federation, which is the sort of our competitors, and they but it's sort of been a really small sport with them in control, and they've not really made much effort to grow the sport, which is why the BSU, which is us, came to be, because a few of the guys there wanted to be going over, like, all over to Europe, and wanted to grow the sport a little bit more. So that's why there was this sort of split. But now the BSU, which is us, is the recognised ISF member now, after a long hard battle. So there's been all like the political side of it as well, which I only really signed up to wrestle. But when you wanna when you wanna grow a sport, you got to do what you got to do. So yeah, it's been tough. I mean, at the minute, as I say, ideally, we want to get this British Championships on the go. And if you told me when I just started sumo a couple of years ago that I'd be doing setting up the British Championships and doing the socials and looking for venues and all that sort of stuff, I'd be like, I'll probably go. You're all right. But I don't regret it, and I'm proud to be doing my bit to grow the sport, because I do think it's a great sport. I want to sort of defeat that stigma where people think you just have to be some obese guy.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like, it does help being an obese guy when you when you're in the heavyweights, but there's categories all the way down to under 70 kilos, so you can still be, and each weight category sort of has their own sort of style. Obviously the lighter guys are a little bit more athletic, and somewhere in the middle range you got a good mix of like some powerhouses and some guys who throw, and some, so there is a good mix. We just want to break, and we also want to break the stigma that there's no women in it as well, because we've got some of the best women sumo wrestlers that I've seen at my club, Lincolnshire, a young woman called Laura. She's brilliant.
Yeah.
She's big things for her as well. We're trying to get her to some of the tournaments in the coming year, so that'll be great.
2017 US Sumo Open.
So whenabouts is the World Championships of the sumo?
It'll be sometime in the summer. Forgot the month, but it will be in Thailand this year. The World Championships.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, so that'll be good.
You going down?
Potentially, if I qualify, I've got to win my category at the British.
Come on.
If I do that, then yeah, I'll be going. Maybe I might not have much money because I'm getting married in March, so maybe I'll just have to cheer on from afar. But
or just forget the marriage. I'm joking. I mean, Bowles, anything we want to go talk about soon before we move on to the old conversation?
No, well, I was just going to mention about the Shrajal Championships, the English Shrajal Championships, or
British, yeah.
Because silver medal there.
Yeah.
What was it like?
Thank you.
Not actually genuinely not knowing anything
yeah.
about the sport
Yeah.
to go into the British Championships. What was that like?
Well, basically, my mate Adam, the one who I've already mentioned, just messaged me and said, I'd fancy giving it a go, the British Championships in a couple of weeks. I think you'd be all right. If you've done judo, you'll be all right. So it's not as if I didn't have any knowledge. I had to learn the rules, which there aren't many, to be fair. And I just sort of tried to actually do Shuai. I didn't, because you can gain a point by out of bounds in someone like in sumo, but I didn't want to just it's first to 9 points to win. I didn't want to just push someone out of bounds 9 times. I wanted to actually try the martial art, which is a lot of throws and trips, and you can shoot for legs and stuff, and loads. Basically, it's all goes for grappling in Shuai Jiao. And the jacket is like a judo jacket, but it doesn't have any sleeves, so you can't grab onto a sleeve. You have to sort of get 2 hands on a lapel, which was weird. And I've actually had Chinese wrestler's elbow syndrome ever since. It's been absolutely throbbing. It's like tennis elbow, but when you do Chinese wrestling instead. Yeah.
Worth it though. Worth it for the silver medal.
Yeah. And the gold medalist in that, I can't remember his name, but he was really good. And, it wasn't a massive tournament, but it's another sport like sumo which is trying to grow, and there's no reason it shouldn't be really big, because it's good. It's just as good as judo, and arguably it's better because there's less rules. So, and
also it's just as fun to watch, I think. Something that we're not spoke about is, I mean, I like watching jiu-jitsu from time to time, but it's quite insane, and it's more insane than kickboxing or taekwondo, in my opinion.
If you enjoy watching any grappling, sumo is a really good one to watch, especially pro sumo, if you can find the highlights anywhere, because there's a lot of ceremony and rituals in pro sumo which I normally just skip over, but they're on this raised clay platform. They've got the crowd all over, the referees dressed like in this extravagant traditional kit. It really is a spectacle to watch it. Even in the amateurs, like the Scottish Sumo Open, that's been on 2 years now. There's always plenty going on with there, like for the people who are watching it live. There's performances halfway through, like a halfway show or whatever they call it in America. I don't know, but something like that.
Halftime show.
That's it, halftime show. Yeah, so it is great if you like that sort of spectacle of martial arts. Sumo is a good one to watch as well.
I've got a couple quick fire questions for you.
Yeah.
Right. Quite simply, I'm going to name a celebrity.
Yeah.
And you've got to say body or not body when it comes to sumo. Right, okay? Are you bodying him outside the circle?
Right,
Balls,
okay.
can you give me the prison break quickly? Bottom right. Turn up. First of all, DJ Khaled.
Yeah, it gets destroyed.
Okay. Current Mike Tyson.
It also gets destroyed.
Anthony Joshua.
I feel like if I gave him one session to learn, he'd batter me.
Right, okay. Tyson Fury.
Same again.
Habib Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, he'd destroy me, yeah.
Ooh,
in sumo.
In sumo.
Yeah.
He's just too strong. His grip is tremendous. He'd just grab my belt and just walk me out the ring.
Okay. Chris Barnett.
Ooh.
Oh, Does he watch the pod? If he,
Chris Barnett, the black guy who's that tall.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of Josh Barnett because he had no way with him. But Chris Barnett, yeah, I reckon I'd out sumo him. Yeah.
P Diddy.
Yeah, but he'd probably insist on having the no underpants under the belt thing like they're doing in Japan.
No underpants.
Yeah, well,
What do you mean by that, bro?
It's traditional.
Nappy.
Yeah, then under the nappy, no pants under the nappy, cheeks out. That's how you do it.
Balls, any more quick fire names? Santa Claus.
No way.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's magic.
Yeah, that's true. Arguably would be the greatest sumo of all time.
Yeah, it could be.
It could have been, yeah. It could have been.
He's the jolly one.
Wasted potential.
Yeah.
You mean, so the Yokozuna is the number one?
Yes, the Yokozuna is the king. There is only one Yokozuna at the minute. That's Terumo Fuji.
I was going to say it. I was going to impress you all there. The Terumo Fuji.
Yeah.
Ball's been name dropping, ready for you.
Well, I said Big Puffy. I didn't say his actual name.
Big Puffy. That's one of the current Ozeki, and his actual name is Koto Zakura.
That's my goat.
But
is that your goat?
Well, it's Harry's goat, yeah. They call him Big Puffy because he literally is big and puffy. But yeah, the Yokozuna Terumo Fuji, his nickname is T-Rex because he's that's what he is. He's just an apex predator on there.
Mm. Love that. Yeah, Yokozuna number one. Should we talk about boxing MMA?
Yeah, let's talk about that. I'll ask you what your Mount Rushmore is.
What, of MMA?
MMA Mount Rushmore.
Great question.
Should
ask everyone that.
We should.
I will pick Ronda Rousey has got to be on there because of what she's done for women's MMA. And then that'll be it for the women, right?
I've had enough of it. Yeah.
But Ronda's got to be up there. Mighty Mouse.
Valid.
Yeah. Am I doing a Mount Rushmore based on who's the best or what they've done for the sport?
It's a balance, isn't it?
That's
It's always the unanswered question.
If I would,
you got to give us don't give us 4 names.
What have I said? Ronda and Mighty
Mouse. Don't say I could throw this one in.
Fedor Emelianenko, number 3, and then number 4. That leaves me with. I don't want to say Conor McGregor, but if we're talking about who's probably brought more people to the sport, if you ask someone who doesn't watch MMA, name an MMA fighter, they'll say Conor McGregor. So I'm going to have to say Conor McGregor, even though I don't think he actually deserves to be up there, but he is up there. That's it, I reckon.
It's a good one.
Ronda, Mighty Mouse, Fedor, and Conor McGregor.
Good shouts.
Yeah.
We'll have to do it. That's an episode we can do.
Yeah.
We can milk that as an episode for us.
Yeah, 100%.
And boxing, you got any favourite boxers?
Yeah. Big Bang Zhang is my favourite at the minute, but only because I never.
Come on, balls, you got to do it.
Never bigger bang. Now bang you.
That's it. That's the reason he's the best, because he just threatens to bang people.
Because he bangs everyone.
Yeah, and then he does. He does bang them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No diddy.
And I'll tell you about a boxer you might not have heard of. Is actually unlicensed and uncarded, but he's called Luke Dyson.
We do know Luke. We were talking about Luke Dyson the other day. It's your goat.
Well, every time I check how many fights he's had, which might be every couple of weeks, he's done like another 20 fights in that time.
Yeah. Is that your goat, is it?
I wouldn't say it's my goat, no.
Have you tuned into a Dyson fight yet?
Yeah, I've watched a couple of them, yeah.
I watched him fight.
His skill isn't super high, but he's just so aggressive and he's so up for a fight, which that's what makes him really good. He don't care who it is; he'll get.
I also think he's raged off drugs.
Yeah,
have you seen that Reese, A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah.
As well. What a legend! He's like 0-50 or something.
Legend
in the MMA.
Who else do I like at the minute? I like Ben Whittaker. I like him. Do you not like
it's
him?
A bit techie now, based off the last performance.
Yeah, but, everyone has a bad day, don't they?
And also rate the fact that you're standing on business live on the pod.
Yeah.
Saying you still like him.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite? Who do you think? I don't even know why I'm deep in it. Who's your favorite heavyweight? So Zhang's your favorite heavyweight currently.
Ever Frank Bruno.
Frank Bruno, yeah. Just love the laugh.
Yeah, 12 rounds of brown toast.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that?
Yeah, he is the man. He is the man. That's a good shout as well.
Can you do the Frank Bruno laugh, both of you? That's pretty good.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, to be fair, some legends of the game. It's quite interesting, especially because you've got such an array of knowledge of each sport. Any fights you want to see next year?
I think, like everyone, I want to see John Jones versus Tom Aspinall, and I actually don't think John's ducking. I think he's pretending to duck to build hype.
That's what I said.
Yeah, definitely pretending. Like, can you imagine John Jones being actually afraid of anyone? I can't.
No,
I can slightly now.
Oh, really?
Mate, come on, some of it.
Have you seen the MMA Guru video of John Jones being gay?
Yeah. But even if he is,
Greatest
like, what are you going to do?
ever.
What can you do about it? Nothing.
It's very true.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, if he likes.
True. He's still a bit of a beast, isn't he? To be fair.
Still the baddest man on the planet.
Yeah.
That's it. And
Behind Tom
what
Aspinall.
else would I like to see?
Yeah.
I'd like to see Charles get his belt back.
Oh,
I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'd like to see that. I think he looks brilliant against Chandler. I don't know if it's because Chandler just isn't as on that level, but when I watched that fight that weekend, I thought I had it on fast forward. It was that fast, the fight. And then I looked at the timer and it was just ticking normally. So,
yeah, crazy fight. I mean, I think...
Well, do you think with Michael Chandler in that fight, do you think the 2-year wait for Conor McGregor affected that at all?
I think it actually... it would have affected it in only one way, and that's just ring experience. But he will be so... At his age and at his level of athleticism, 2 years off is probably the best thing he could have done for his body at the state of where his career is at the minute. These fighters who do, 2-3 fights a year, people say, oh, it's not that much compared to back in the day, like when Don Fry would do 3 fights in one night. But when you're doing like a 25-minute full-on war, it can take you months to recover. Whereas Chandler having 2 years off and 2 years to train as hard as he can train, to 2 years of the best nutrition, not having to worry about getting into a camp and dieting and getting in shape for a fight, I think it probably actually did him some favours.
Smart take. I've never heard that one yet,
yeah.
to be fair.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Should we wrap it with a Christmas cracker?
Yeah, well, we can do. Just one last thing, if that's all right. So, all sports you've ever done, top 3. One, obviously, first being the favourite, most enjoyable, and then your second and third. And then maybe your least favourite as well to finish off while I find a Christmas cracker.
My least favourite, I've got to say, was probably the brief few weeks I did taekwondo at university, and that's because the actual fighting aspect and the forms are just so different that it doesn't make sense. So the forms are like the kata, and obviously they're trying to keep to the tradition, which I get, but when you actually, they'll all be sat there in their stances with the feet turned in, and the hands down here, and they'll be punching down here from the waist, but then they'll come to sparring and it just looks like kickboxing. So it just makes me think, I didn't really, same with some styles of karate. I'm a big karate advocate, by the way, but say Kyokushin, for example, the forms they do, the kata, is so wildly different from when they actually get in and do the kumite, which is the fighting. It just sort of makes you think, what's the point in doing the kata at all if it isn't transferable? Whereas other martial arts which have forms like Shotokan karate, for example, the katas and the sparring, you can see where they would sort of intermeld. So yeah, Taekwondo's probably at the least because it was just confusing, and there was people who was actually good at the sparring, but not sort of ranked where they should be in the class because the forms were crap. And as for my favourite, I haven't been in ages, so it's probably weird saying it, but my favourite was probably actually MMA, just because of how well-rounded it is. I do need to get back to Bateman MMA in Grimsby, by the way, and start training again there. But yeah, I'd probably say MMA just for how well-rounded it is. It's literally when people try and think about what's the martial art, or what martial art should I do before, what's a good base for MMA? Should I do Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu or wrestling? So just do MMA. There isn't a better starting point for MMA than MMA, and it's going to help you in, if you ever are in sort of like some sort of altercation in public, it gives you the most options as well, to sort of get yourself out of that danger, and the most confidence as well, I'd say. So yeah, I'd probably put MMA at the top, Taekwondo at the bottom, and Sumo right near the top, and it would be higher if I'd have been doing it longer, probably.
Yeah.
I'd probably, if asking me again in a year, I'd probably say Sumo.
Oh, well, outstanding. We'll finish off with a Christmas cracker joke. I will play this for you.
It's serious.
What do snowmen wear on their heads? We got to rank these, by the way.
Ice cap.
That's correct. That's actually correct.
Yeah.
Wow. So I can't believe that. That's the first one. Jeeve. Jeeve's never getting these right.
Come on, guys.
Can't believe it.
Come on. Easy.
So we rank it S tier being the best joke you ever heard, A being very good, B being good, C being mid, D being crap. Where are you ranking that joke?
I'm ranking it a U.
A U.
Another U. I'm sorry, Wells.
I reckon it's a strong C. It's quite good. If I built a snowman and I put a hat on it, I'd go, hey, look, he's got an ice cap.
Yes, it's a Will Bowles joke. Yeah, it's a Will Bowles joke. But I'm very disappointed in the scoring.
Sorry.
Have you had any A's yet?
We've had an S, haven't we?
Yeah, we've had an S. Yeah. We had an A star.
Jeeve's generous, usually.
Oh, really?
But there we go. That's day 4. Very interesting. I hope you've all learnt something about martial arts.
Can I just say I've actually learnt a lot. I didn't expect this podcast to be such a
educational
Rogan-style podcast right there. I learnt a lot.
Yeah, actually is a little bit. Yeah, Joe Rogan and DC over here.
Which one am I? Am I DC? Or?
You're John Anik.
Yeah, you can be.
I'll be Eddie Bravo.
Yeah. You make sure to catch us every single day for the month of December. We will be all the way from. We started on the 1st. We'll finish up on the 24th. You can watch us on YouTube. You can listen to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, wherever you get your podcasts from. Make sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X, all that good stuff, and like us on Facebook. And I've been Bowles.
I've been Jeeve.
He's been bigger
Bowles.
Bowles.
I've also been Bowles.
And we will see you in the next one.